students. Today we are going to learn about frequency tables and histograms. Make sure that you write all of this in your notes, and let's go ahead and get started. A histogram looks a lot like a bar graph, except for at the bottom, instead of categories, we have groups. And so I'll show one to you. Whoops. I'll show one to you. So this is number of pages read last weekend for students. Here's the number of students, and then here's the number of pages. Instead of listing every single one of these pages, we put them into categories. And so this is how many 2 students read from 1 to 10 pages. 4 students read from 11 to 20. 1 student read from 21 to 30. And 3 students read from 31 to 40. You can see that all of the bars are touching, and that down here we have these in categories. So that's what we're going to make today. But before we do that, we have to learn about what a frequency table is. So let's talk about that first. So today we are going to talk about how number of days that students spent on vacation last year. So let's go ahead and type that title in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make what we call a frequency table. So I'm just going to make a little box here. And make some lines. And then I'm going to fill in some things. So what I want to do is I want to put these into categories. And I'm going to probably put them into categories of 5. So I would put 0 to 4, and then 5 to 9, and then 10 to 15, and then 15 to 20, and it looks like I don't need to go higher than 20, so I'm going to just move these up just a little bit. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to make little tally marks for where each of these goes. So for example, for 2, that would go in this category, so I'm going to cross that out. 18 would go here. Cross that out. 5 would go here. 15 would go here, and so on. You go ahead and do yours as I do mine, and we'll see if we come up with the same answers. Okay, so now I've done all of mine, and so what I want to do is I want to find these totals. So from 0 to 4 I had 4, 5 to 9 I had 4, 10 to 14 I had 6, and 15 to 20 I had 4. So this is a graph that most of them are very similar, but that's okay. Okay, so now this is called a frequency table, so this is what we have here. I'm going to go ahead and label that frequency table. And in your notes, make sure that you label that as well. So now what we have to do is we have to take this frequency table, and then we're going to turn it into a histogram. So I'm just going to copy this all over here. And over here. Oh, I think I lost my 15 to 20s. But we'll just put those back in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make a histogram where the x-axis are my categories and the y-axis are my number of students. Okay, so I'm going to type in over here days, and then over here I'm going to type in number of students. I'll just move that over here. Okay, so down here I have to figure out how to put my categories in, and I'm just going to use these exact same categories. So I'll put that here. And you can do this as we're going, and feel free to pause as you need to. And then over on this side, I'm going to put my number of students. Since my numbers are pretty small, I'll probably go by 1. So I'm going to make my scale 1. And I don't need to go any higher than 6. And of course I'm going to make these look a little neater. And then I'm going to make little tallies here as well to kind of line those up. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make my bar for 0 to 4. So my bar for 0 to 4 goes up to 4, and then I would color that in. And you're going to be much neater with this because I'm using a mouse. And then 5 to 9 is also 4, so I'm going to get a different color. And you see I'm going to make these touch. And that one's way wider than the other one. You want them to kind of be the same, but again, I'm using a mouse. 10 to 14 goes up to 6, so I'm going to get a different color for 10 to 14. And go up to 6. And you'll do that neater. And then 15 to 20 we'll do one more color, and that's again 4. And then I want to make a title for my graph. And so the title I want to put is number of students in 2015. Okay, now it doesn't say that up there, but I'm making this title as specific as I can. Okay? So that is a histogram and a frequency table. You're going to be doing 2 of those in your graphing packet. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.